So before we bounce, it's become one of my favorite traditions in the NBA. Thunder sideline reporter Nick Gallo has become a household name around these parts. And if you haven't seen it, this is what I am talking about. Brian, we got to get one of those hats.
Still an NBA team over there, no matter who's in, who's out. But we gotta go. After a long road trip, ready to go home.
You make your first 8 shots, just continue to be so aggressive and so efficient. Tell me about your night tonight.
Yeah, I just try to be aggressive, try to set the tone. Like I said, long road trip, try to get in and get out.
And you guys played great on this trip. And the fact of the matter is that you guys faced some really good teams on this trip. And what do you think about the way that this group has continued to respond night in and night out?
All right, guys, sure. I'm sorry, Nick. The children, I'm so sorry.
It's the focus for me. Please welcome to NBA Today, the sideline reporter for the Thunder, Nick Gallo. Thank you so much for stopping by our show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Welcome to OKC.
I am so glad to be here. I've got to ask, I mean, we just saw the laser focus of this man as towels are poured onto him. When was the closest you ever come to breaking? Because you are always just so focused in these moments.
You know, being suited up in one of the uniforms was definitely a first for me and maybe took me a little bit out of my zone, but I really try to stay locked in and focused because these guys just did something that only a couple hundred people in the whole world can do, which is win an NBA game. And so, you know, trying to be as present for them is really what's on my mind.
Sometimes it even goes over your head. This is incredible, and we had to put him to the test.
Nick, I just want you to know that I took personal care to make sure those were clean towels because I think all of America, you know, is the end of the game. The players are a little sweaty. I don't know the cleanliness of those towels.
Yeah, we made sure.
I think you get extra bonus points for not freaking out about, you know, perspiration. So.
But we've seen the chains, we've seen the hoodie, the T-shirts, and that wasn't in the Western Conference Finals. Do you have any idea sort of what's coming around the corner, what's going to be next, other than us?
I'm bracing myself for just about anything, and that's the cool thing about all of this. It's totally organic and player-led. You know, I haven't had one conversation with the guys about this ever. It just sort of comes to them in the moment, and it's really a great expression of how much they love and care for one another and want to be there to celebrate one another and, you know, have a little fun during a long and grueling 82-game NBA season.
I'm just curious, though, Nick, when did it start? Like, what is the origin story, and how long has this been happening?
Well, when Chet Holmgren got here as a rookie, he actually insisted that every single one of his walk-off interviews be with a teammate. You know, he never really wanted it to just be all about him after a win, understanding that his teammates absolutely played a part in that. And then really it started to percolate last season, dog days of February, January, and Aaron Wiggins, one of the great role players on the Thunder, had an awesome game on the road in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And Chet and J-Dub just start barking in the background behind him. And then, you know, day after day, week after week, things just started to continue to percolate or maybe unravel, depending on your perspective.
We joke, but you know this team better than anybody. And when you talk about folks who really are embedded with a group, nationwide, Brian, I don't know that there's anyone who knows more about a group than Nick does about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
It's been around a long time.
You've been around,
not to say that you're old. Not to say that you're old.
2012 was my first season. The year they went to the finals.
2012 was your first season.
Yeah.
What did you learn about this team in that Game 7 win here? We'll let you get serious and get down to business here. But in that Game 7 win, what did you learn about this team that maybe you didn't know before?
Well, I think they are able to get back to what they call a 0-0 mentality. And it's this opportunity for them between every game, between every possession, really, to try to get back to neutral and understand that momentum is kind of what you make of it. And they have these opportunities. Even in that game, in Game 7, they did not start off well at all. They were down 21-10 in the first quarter, but they leaned into what's made them great, what they've called their superpower all season long, which is their tenacious defense. They swarmed Nikola Jokic. They swarmed that Nuggets team, and they got out to the races. Brian, you were talking earlier about the way that this Thunder team, they can be devastating in transition. When they get that defense to offense flow, that's their bread and butter, and that's their identity. They've leaned on it all season long to get to those 68 wins, and they did it again in Game 7.
I was writing down between every possession, get back to neutral, because that's like life advice, too. Like, things are going on in life, like, okay, let's just get back
how does Shai roll?
Let's get consistency.
What separates? There have been some big stars here in Oklahoma City. What separates Shai from the rest of them?
Well, he has total, not just confidence in himself, but security. He is a very secure person, and there's no comparing between eras. These guys that have come through this this team and this organization have just been incredible. You think about the history of the players who have been in this place: Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, and James Harden and Carmelo Anthony and Chris Paul and Paul George. I mean, the list goes on and on. And for Shai to have this opportunity here, hopefully, sometime in the next few days or this week, to potentially earn an MVP, a third MVP here in Oklahoma City, one of the smallest markets in the country, would just be sensational.
Yeah.
And so cool to see him do it his way. Mark Daignault will call him, the coolest guy in the room
Right.
always.
Consistent.
But he's also he's so breezy. I mean, he allows everyone to just be themselves. You think about a guy like J-Dub, he, beats to his own drum in a little bit of, different circumstances.
Right.
And Chet Holmgren he's a different dude too. Everybody feels totally empowered to be themselves the way that they are and bring the best of themselves to the team. And Shai really facilitates that.
That's why on this show we call him Shea Butter, because he's just that smooth. What do you say we check out some highlights? Because there's been a lot of this Oklahoma City Thunder group over the last couple of years. A little top of the top. It's brought to you.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA on the ESPN club.